No, they can
Bring meeting around, Commissioner, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes.
I have a correction on the first page, bottom bullet for Kevin. Motion made by Commissioner Lightbon, seconded by Commissioner Lightbon.
Oh,
So we have
gotcha.
just one extra deal in there.
We didn't empower Commissioner Lightbon to move and second his own stuff.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion carried. Approval of the bills. Yeah, you sent it, I believe, yep.
I move to approve the bills as submitted.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the bill. Roll call, please. Go ahead.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Britt,
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye. Motion approved. Approve the financial reports, Candy.
Everything is on track. We have a few things with, won't be till the end of the year, but budget amendments with like the jury, when we have that jury trial and all the fees that were incorporated with that.
Witness fees and airline tickets.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're good.
Bring them up. Motion to approve the financial report. So. Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Britt,
Aye.
Brown, Lightfon.
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Olson.
Aye. Motion carried. Approval of treasurer's check. Good morning, Bill. There's a motion, is there a second? Motion and a second.
Who did second? Okay.
Roll call, please.
Britt,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Brown, Olson.
Aye. Motion carried. Approval of the agenda.
Just I have one thing to add. We need a county representative for the Devils Lake Outlet Advisory Committee meeting, that's going to be Thursday. Agenda down. Starts at 1 o'clock in Carrington at the Chieftain Inn. Representative, former Commissioner Mertens was the county representative before. He indicated that being out of the loop, he feels more comfortable with a current commissioner or maybe a water board representative on that committee. And so I'd like to have that discussion for at some point in the agenda.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Bill Otis is up.
Morning. I think I'm awake. field work started. For those of you that may have not been north, if you were to go up there, you'd be pleasantly surprised by how drier the place has gotten. You know, last fall we fought water, as you all know, and this spring you get up, start with a hand, and I drove that area Friday delivering weed guides, and they're actually in the field up there, and it's looking really good, surprisingly. So that's a good thing, and of course, you get further south, it got wetter, towards Brockett, it's wetter too, but, you know, north is surprisingly good. Don't forget Achievement Days are coming up, we got a horse show coming up in June, and I'll bring that date up to you next time, so it's more fresh for you. We also have our livestock show, which will be at the end, more near the end of June. That's time for the kids to get all their projects in, get them ready for the state fair. Horticulture World, oh my, voles this year for one, earthworms night crawlers is another, the list goes on and on and on. And then lastly, I just want to mention that I did apply to North Dakota Soybean Council for a grant for the state of North Dakota to travel to North Platte, Nebraska to visit the one and only wind tunnel in the United States. The reason for this project is the new dicamba products coming out to help soybean producers do the resistant weed problems. Down there, the young man that actually is in charge of that spoke at Roundup last year. Many of you may remember Greg Kruger. That's where we're going. I got awarded that grant for just a tickle over $28,000 for 45 of us to travel there. So I was really, really tickled to have that approved. That'll be the week of the 14th. We leave on Monday, come back on the Thursday of August. We're really concerned about this new dicamba products being entered into the soybean world because we'll have a lot of soybeans that aren't tolerant to it, and we're going to see damages from that. So we just want to try to stay a step ahead of that, and also the weed resistance that are becoming more and more effective, to include Palmer amaranth, which is on its way up. Already been found in Walsh County, eastern half of Nelson County. Another very serious problem for us. So we're trying to stay ahead of it, and hopefully this trip will take part of that. I can't think of anything right now that I need to share unless you have any questions.
Bill, do you know is there been progress made on that economic impact study for that lost agricultural land?
I have two guys, David Riplinger and Kuhn, that are supposed to be working on it. They said 3 to 4 weeks, and that was about a month ago.
Okay. It'd be really handy to have at our Thursday meeting and down in Carrington.
Yep, and I'm gonna guess that it's not gonna be ready.
Not gonna be ready?
I'm
Okay.
guessing so. I haven't heard a thing about it, so I'm guessing so.
If you wouldn't mind making a call and
Yep.
just checking for me, that'd be greatly
Yep.
appreciated. Thank you.
I'll do that today. Any other questions?
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy Tweed.
Good morning. April was extremely busy for the Veteran Service Office. 98 people totally seen in 3 counties. We're seeing more and more activity in Nelson County than I've experienced in the last couple of years. And we're getting both sides, Benson and Nelson, coming over here to Ramsey to have stuff worked on. So staying extremely busy, and we're seeing a lot of, we're having I don't know how to put it, delays with the VA. We're fighting, trying to get things done in a timely manner, and the VA has been dragging their feet. They're notoriously, what should be done in 3 months is taking well over 6 months. So we got issues there that we're dealing with and trying to get things accomplished. So most veterans, you explain it to them and they're okay with it as long as things are going their way. But it doesn't always go that way. So that's what I have. If there's any questions.
Stacy, can you tell us what this referral to another agency, what it was about?
Most commonly, homeless veterans and issues. I work with Ellen McKinnon with supportive services for veteran families, and it's almost always dealing with a homeless veteran of, back and forth. Either she's sending some to me or I'm sending someone to her, and that's where we almost anytime we're using other agencies, it's her agency. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for flying that forward.
How are things going with Benson County?
There's very few people showing up over there, but they are coming here. And most of the phone calls are coming here. So one of their commissioners popped her head in last week and just, things that I've shown them that's been done in the past wasn't being shown before, like that chart that we had with the services and the dollars and stuff coming back. I showed that to them last month, and for the first time, they'd ever seen that before. So now they're more aware of what the veterans are getting back from the government and what it means to the county to have a service officer. That, I think, was lost on them before, because they'd never seen that
I
before.
agree with you, I bet you it was.
Yeah, yeah. Doris Griffin was extremely surprised. She was very thankful that I showed her that. So that, other than the most activity that I see over there is in the veterans' deaths, where the funeral homes call and need paperwork completed. That's the most activity that's over there in Benson right now.
On the social service board, we've had a lot of requests for burials. Is there any way of getting some money out of the vets for veterans that need to be buried?
The only thing that's available, and it's, I don't know the way I can say it, is chicken feed, because it's not a big item. In the event of a veteran's death and it's caused by a service-connected disability, there's more money that can be used, not near enough to cover anything in the realm of the cost of a funeral. We're lucky if we see $200 to $1,000 coming for a veteran's funeral. So, but most often we see American Legion, VFW, them coming forward bigger than the VA does. Yeah.
I think we were just following the budget, weren't we, Adam?
Yeah, we're pretty close to the full year already through 4 months.
Yeah.
4 months, yeah.
We've seen a lot of veterans' deaths now in the last 2 years. A lot of World War II, we're almost running out of them, and now we're into the Korea era. So we're watching that. And that, just particularly in Benson County, that's the biggest business I have over there is funerals.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
You think the commission over there is quite receptive to how things are going?
I think over there, they're very accepted. They're very pleased with what's happening. And it shows when we have their interest in coming here. Best example, a person from Knox, I think Knox or York, out west anyway, for Benson, came here to Devil's Lake because of the accessibility of the building, where Minnewacan is very limited accessibility. They have a ramp system, but it is antique at best.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Stacy? Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Kristen's up.
Good morning. A couple things I put in, I paid out our contractor for our multi-hazard mitigation grant, and we were reimbursed that, so we're even and clear there. I just closed out my 2016 AMPG, got the final reimbursement for that, and that's closed, and working on our work plan for the next cycle of that grant, which I'll have to go to Grand Forks. We have one regional meeting at the end of the month. Also, I put in to the state, to the Department of Emergency Services, a notice of intent for Homeland Security grant dollars. It was a little far-fetched, but I asked for what I would like to see would be $350,000 for Ramsey County to help with end-of-life radios that are coming, portables and mobiles, plus LEC dispatch consoles. So we'll see what we'll see what I get. Like I said, it was a little high reach, but I figured why not try. Another thing, I have some new training coming up mid-June for the IMAT team, which is basically a group of trained individuals. If an emergency ever happens somewhere, we could be dispatched to help in that specific area, just like we could call on that team to come here if something ever happened. I've been really busy working on our annual conference coming up in September. making sure we have current speakers, good speakers, in that role, and I'm currently sitting as the vice president for that association. But our president may be relocating and moving, so I might get bumped up a little bit earlier than expected. We'll see what happens with that. And we just did siren testing for severe summer weather awareness, and all went off without a hitch there. So that's what's been going on with me.
Kristen, you said you applied for grant money on the state then, or?
I have not applied yet. I put in a notice of intent,
Okay.
which is basically the preliminary setting of, we're looking to obtain those dollars. And if I can, this is what I would like to see, but essentially it'll be divided up, whatever the state gets from the federal grant to the local, and we'll see how much they get.
So you put your grant in or your intent to the state then, or?
I did.
Who's in charge of that?
The Department of Emergency Services.
Who's the head of that department? Yeah.
Greg Wells is the director. Mhm. So we'll see what they want to give for Ramsey County. Hopefully it'll be a pretty fair number though to help with those costs, because if we don't get all of it, some of it might be 100% match, some might be a 75-25% cost share, but then those cost shares wouldn't fall on the county. They would fall on each department, each agency.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to apply for that grant. And
Absolutely.
for that.
Yeah.
And any money that we can put into the budget for Ramsey County in the next year would be very beneficial.
Mhm. That's all I have, unless anybody has anything for me.
Nobody?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kristen. Yeah.
Good morning. We started out in April with our soils committee meeting. We have a soils committee that's made up of 7 producers, each from a different district and county. And they meet typically once a year, but it's based on whenever the chairman calls a meeting. And they review any complaints or any questions that we have on our egg land valuations from our soils calculations. This year we were down to 1 person, 1 owner. They had 2 parcels in the same area that they reviewed, and so there's less and less it's been. We're almost at a point where they will probably review their past changes, but they chose not to this year because of the lake. At that point, the lake forecast was to come up, so it probably wouldn't have affected any to lower, to change. So that went well. When we do have a larger meeting, we also invite Alan Gulsvik from Soil Conservation and Bill Lotus from County Extension and then Commissioner as needed to be part of it, but we knew that this year it was going to be a shorter meeting and pretty standard. Then we moved into 35 meetings for townships and cities. We chose this year to do them a month earlier than it has been done in the past. My reasoning for that was, there were 2. One was because we took on so many more townships than in the past, and many more. We found last year having it at the end of May ran into spring's work. So we wanted to try and accommodate more people in the egg industry so that they could attend the meetings. So we were hoping for April, and the meetings technically should be done by April 30th. So that put a little bit more pressure on us to get our work done a month earlier, but with having great staff to work with, we did that. So we had 35 meetings, the 25th to the 27th of April, and they went well, and there's nobody that will be coming to the county meeting that they have to take a step of coming to the township meeting, and there isn't anybody from that. Other than that, our county tax equalization meeting will be held here at 9 a.m. on June 6th, and hopefully that will go well. And then obviously the state has theirs on August 8th, and I'll attend that. And lastly, Jarrett will be attending an egg valuation class this month with the state. So he's continuing to work on his next certification, and he'll do well with that. Other than that, that's kind of where we are, and we'll start now going out to measuring that with the building beginning again.
Any questions for Beth? Thank you, Beth. Thank you. Steve Moley's up.
Okay, guess I've got 3 things. The first is approval to pay my guess, software license fee for $3,000 for the year.
I would move to approve to pay that for Steve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Olson.
Aye. Motion carried.
And I guess the second is like to request out-of-state travel again to the annual conference for that software. Yes.
Where's it being held?
It's in San Diego.
And you've gone in previous years?
Yeah, I think this would be the 12th year I've gone, but I've gone every year that I've been here.
Steve, is there any training that you would find beneficial for the computer aspect of your position, whether it be networking or computer repair or PC, whatever, networking, wiring, things like that? In addition to this GIS training?
Yeah, I guess I have a few years ago taken some continuing ed classes from Lake Region.
Oh, okay.
They were basically online, but, yeah, I guess,
Were they beneficial?
yeah.
Okay. Well, I know how demanding that mapping that GIS software can be and the changes that come about, so I would move to approve the out-of-state travel for Steve to attend that ESRA International Conference.
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
You have this in your budget?
Yeah,
How much you think you'll spend?
it's been around 1,500 the last few years. So
Jeff, you asked about the computer, what were you getting at there, what did you want him to do there?
Well, I know that Steve has always attended this conference, but I don't ever recall seeing him attend a different conference for the other part of his job. Part of his job is IT and part of it's GIS. And I know with both of them, if you don't maintain your training and education on it, you tend to fall behind. It's very easy to do because it changed so rapidly, both of them.
and I guess not this year, but the two previous, I attended a state cybersecurity conference at NDSU. I guess I didn't. The first year it was really good. The second year, not so much. I didn't get as much out of it, so that's why I didn't go this year. But,
This is for IT?
yeah, that was.
You know, your college out here has courses that would help you for IT?
They do, but there's cost involved, and I don't know. I guess it's something to look into. I can do that. And yeah, there were continuing ed classes that were cheaper, but, I mean, not for college credit, but I can look into that some more.
There's been a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye. Motion carried.
And lastly is, I guess, server update. There was a sheet in your packet, so I don't know if there are any questions. I guess it is basically completed, so.
Any problems with it?
No, nothing major, I guess.
If we have any problems, who are we gonna address? Who we want to?
I think Joe Kramer is good to work with, and it's, the way it's set up now, it can be remotely accessed by them, by him, and there's another company, I guess, that, or like he works through that is keeping track of, I mean, if there were anything, if anything goes wrong, or we get I get an email that there's a problem to fix, but
He's not really on retainer then.
no. But
So anything,
he's still finishing up, he's just finishing his contract from, I guess, for this project.
he's not done with it yet.
Not, I mean, it's basically done, but he's willing to come back just to fix the few, see the minor problems that, some things that you've got to wait to see what, like, he's got like a help ticket for another company to come in to look at it, but they can't get in right away, so he's got to wait for them to be able to look at it.
Andy, how Unix computer's been going since we switched over? All right?
The accounting program that we use every day is actually faster.
I would hope so.
Yeah, yeah, you know, for running reports and stuff, I mean,
Are there any other questions for Steve? Thank you, Steve. That puts Kevin up.
Okay, first of all, the Northeast Regional Water District, which maybe never heard of before, it was the Candu and another district up by Langdon that combined. Anyway, they're doing a water expansion project and they're looking for permission to use our right-of-way on two different roads. One is the county line road east of Hamden, which Cavalier actually takes care of, but they wanted to get right-of-way signed on both from Cavalier and Ramsey, just for record-keeping purposes. And the other one is on Turnback 17, just north of Stark, where on the east side of Highway 20. And they're gonna bore both of them, so it's not gonna affect us that much. It's just that they need the actual permission to use our right-of-way.
Or in just a couple different places or something?
Just those two places we've been born for now. If there's gonna be more, then they'll have to do more permits.
Move to approve.
There's a motion, is there a second? Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, pose same sign, seeing none, motion carries.
And the two rental tractors that we're getting from John Deere, they're here now. The agreement is we have to pay $3,837.50, and we get 250 hours of use at that price for each one. So I don't know, that's something we made a motion for earlier, but just a heads up that the
What was that figure? 38?
$3837.50 for 250 hours. It's like 14,
That's it, 15, 16.
yeah, 14 something an hour, just about 15. But that's more of a heads up.
And these are like over 250, is that?
Yeah, then we pay, I think the rate goes down a little bit, but we do pay after the 250 hours. So we'll just keep an eye on that. I don't anticipate going over them hours. But. And the sale of Denmore shop, my question there was, do we want to try and do that during our surplus sale, or do we want to have a separate sale, or how do we want to handle that sale of that shop?
Should have a separate sale, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree too.
Okay,
Okay, that's real estate. how many acres or lots is there?
I think it's all combined as one.
One lot?
I'd have to look though, I'm not sure.
When do you want to have this?
Doesn't matter, I got it advertised for at least 2 weeks, so maybe a month.
Wait till after spring break, or?
When the spring would go, like the end of June or something.
Never.
Never. Tell them when we crawl out of
When
the
the
sprayer.
snow flies.
I have like 8 people who are interested, and I was gonna mail something to them, so they're aware of what the deadline is and everything.
More than one party then?
Yeah, like 8 parties,
So we're talking like probably first meeting in July, something like that, maybe.
whatever you wanna do.
This first meeting in June is only a month from now, so and we're gonna have
They get the building, they get
other
everything.
stuff going on then, so. Or if we want to do second meeting, like we usually do since it's 5:30.
Well, the second meeting we planned for,
So that's second meeting in June.
for
That's
the,
a third.
for the vehicle, or whatever is located at the
The
shelter.
4th of July is on our meeting day, so we went like the 6th of July, if I remember
That
right.
Thursday.
That's our 8 a.m. meeting. Because we usually try to do the sales in the evening, so people can get here.
One question about the property, Kevin, is there any stipulation the city up there is gonna have on this property or this building, or, I mean, the building's in good enough shape, so we're not selling a hazard, I guess, is probably what I'm trying to say.
The one we were in was, there's one next to it, but I don't think there's any issues with the city. I mean, they're pretty laid back up there, so to speak, but, I guess I can call and ask them just to see if there's any issues. But I don't think so. There's no varmints in them that I know
As you know of, right?
of.
The permits in there.
Maybe the little guys, not the big guys.
You know, he could have it as part of his addenda on the June 20th meeting.
I can do that, see what it is, if you want, or, you know, if they wanna raise their bid, that would be the only.
Should have the building raised.
Yeah, I think so, we get our best deal that way.
So shoot for the second meeting in June then?
That's an easy meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that work for you, Kevin?
That should
That's
work.
fine, yeah.
Well, that's where we're doing all the other highway stuff too, correct? Or is that the first meeting in June?
It's,
I'll be here with the second meeting in June, if that's what you're wondering.
so for the surplus.
Yeah, the
there's-
surplus, we're gonna, well,
Is
we're
there
only
like
gonna do
a-
some
I
highway
haven't
stuff.
said
Is there
date.
like a vehicle
Yeah,
and,
but that's usually when we do it.
no, there's not much.
Yeah. Second meeting in June, which is
Yes.
there now.
Okay, that's what I'll do then. And I'd like to advertise for bids to fill that hole where we tore the house down.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That motion carried.
And we had one more culvert that failed I need to order in Sullivan Township. And I also need to make another stock order. The stock order is gonna be about 11,000, and the one that failed is 4,800, so about $15,800 for culvert, so I need to make an order. The pictures that we're passing around, we made a motion at the last meeting to pay for those, but I just,
Okay, this is not the one we're talking
no,
about.
that's not the one. It's really close to it.
Similar, I mean, similar deal.
It's, the one we're replacing has got 2 bands, and it's all crushed and separated and crusted
Ice
out.
did it?
No, this one washed out, this one we're talking about now. I think the ice did that one.
Tough string on culverts.
Yeah, we,
Compared to the
man,
last few
this is,
years, but first year market runoff we've had in a few years too.
Move to approve the purchase of culverts.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve county purchasing some culverts. Roll call, please.
Brown,
Aye.
Lightfon,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Frith,
Aye.
Olson.
Aye. Motion carried.
and then just one more thing, we're gonna be having a busy summer this year with, replacing all these culverts, and we got that bridge to do in, Harding Township. So I may have to have a part-time person to mow cemeteries, like 2 days a week, every other week or something like that. But just a heads up, I might have to hire a part-time person for that short period of time, every 2 weeks. I don't think I need a motion or anything. I don't know how you handle that, but.
Be your call, anyway.
And then at the next meeting, I'll have prices for what it's gonna cost us to rent an excavator and stuff like that. That's all I have.
Any questions? Robbie?
Yeah, say last week, I don't know what happened, but out our way, on the road goes to my place, there was a big truck went by one evening. And I wasn't out to take what was going on, but he left some awful big ruts and it just pushed the side of the road right out. And I don't know whether it was the railroad that was moving equipment, because the mile north of the highway is all tore up. It's you know where it is, Ed. And I don't know just what took place, but it's kind of left kind of a mess.
Somebody get lost on the wrong way, or
I don't know.
how about the truck came back?
It went down south and turned around and come back, and it was empty both times. But they must evidently loaded something or unloaded something at the highway, but I don't know. But it happened about a week ago, and I just thought I'd bring it up.
Something a grader can clean up?
Well, I don't know, it's pushed it out quite a ways.
Was it, Otter Tail, by any chance?
No, I don't think so. I couldn't, there was a service pickup went by and turned around and went south. And I think what it did is went down to the Kavanaugh corner, and that's the only place they could turn around. And they did, that pickup went down and turned around and come back, and the big truck went down and turned around and come back. And it was empty both times, but whatever happened off the highway just kind of pushed the road out.
Was it during them wet days we had?
Yeah, it was about a week ago, yeah. It's probably a township deal, but it's almost on the highway right away too.
Maybe the grader can clean it up somewhat.
I don't know, it's quite a ways out to do.
I will mention it to him, just so he's aware of it.
Thanks, Rod.
I just thought it was something to worthwhile mention because
Yeah, the exact same thing happened on our road.
Yeah.
Something big went down.
Yeah, you guys had a mess up there.
Not too bad now.
Did you get it?
Oh, yeah, that's dry now.
Yeah, it was a little tough there for a while.
Yeah,
thank you.
For a mess.
thanks. Anything else for Kevin? Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
We're gonna skip down to the unfinished business letter from the DOT Special Road Fund. This was for our information.
Did you check if they
Well,
need?
did you talk to Mike about it?
We did, Kevin's been out to the Sons of Jacob Cemetery, looked at the spot that they're looking at. It's a low area that goes in that prairie trail, just the prairie trail, not the Old Township Road. And I think the problem that they ran into is that they're not a political subdivision. And so, the recommendation from the person at the highway department was to ask the county if they would be the sponsor of that project so it could get completed. It would have to be a political subdivision that goes to those funds. And Kevin went out and looked at it, measured it, came up with a rough estimate of doing that. What was it? It wasn't a whole lot of money.
No, it wasn't.
$1,300–1,400, somewhere in that neighborhood.
So this is just the access road from the township into the cemetery?
Right.
They're just looking to put some gravel on that road, because it's getting a little tough, in other words.
Yeah, it never has. It's
Never
just-
has really had gravel,
Grass.
just try to keep it cleaned up a little bit.
Well, there's a lower area in there that people have gotten stuck in. So I don't know if there's a culvert under there to go across, or
No culvert.
No.
You didn't want a culvert, and,
they didn't want a culvert.
yeah. In order to put a culvert there, we'd have to raise it whatever depth of the culvert.
Sure.
It's flat ground, there's no ditches or no, as you can imagine, it's just flat, or that's what they're driving on. So we're just, however tall the gravel's gonna be, that's what the water will have to go, 6 inches or something.
Texas crossing work?
Mike, enough rocks, I never even thought about that. There's not a lot of water there, it's probably only 3, maybe 4 inches deep when it's the deepest. I don't know if it runs away, if it soaks away, or where it goes.
How far is the whole trail?
The whole trail is 1,000 feet, the area they wanna fix is about 400.
And it's just trail on top of it?
Yeah, it's just grass, it's grass, so there isn't even any tracks, it's just pure grass. Right through the low spot, there's a little bit of gravel where they've tried to, but the other 600 feet is just pure grass.
Yeah, we should go ahead and be the identity so we have a chance to get the grant money.
Well,
That's what they need, right?
Right. And I indicated that to them as well. One thing I did find out on those SRF funds though is they're 60-40. So it's a 40% local. We were talking 80-20 before, but now, but I looked up on I looked it up on the North Dakota website, just so everybody knows that whoever's applying for these needs to know that it's a 60-40 grant.
What township are we in up there?
Sullivan? Sullivan, yeah, Sullivan.
I think that cemetery committee has some funds that they'd be willing to.
I've been working through Mike Connor, and that's what Mike indicated to me, that the cemetery association, or whatever they call themselves, has got some.
You want the motion, I suppose?
Well, until the grant shows up, I suppose, this is just information.
Provided that the grant is obtained, would it be the county that would go out and do the work?
That's not the way it works, but I suppose if we had the time, we could do something like that. It's only like 8 loads of gravel, 80 yards, so 4 loads of gravel or something like that. So
Sure, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't like straining you, you just said it's a busy summer.
more than likely, I think you mentioned Bruce Berg would do it, and Bruce lives 2 miles away or something, so. And that's Bruce hauls the gravel for a lot of townships up there.
For the application, where we don't think you need Ramsey County on there as an identity?
That's what we
That's
do
what we
need.
need.
And Mike
That's
is,
what we need the motion for then, right?
Mike is in the process of putting that together.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to be the
Grant application.
grant application, yes. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And motion carried. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Discussion on human resource. We have a letter from Shannon Tigan. Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, after our last meeting, I got to thinking about human resource officer in Candy. I know I checked with Chuck down at the Association of Counties. But I know of Shannon, we've probably known each other longer than we both care to remember, but, and I know she's had work experience in that human resource field, and I know she's in the position not to be looking for a full-time job, which is something that we're not offering. So I thought it would maybe be a perfect fit, so I reached out to Shannon, told her what we were kind of looking for. She came in, we visited, showed her some of the stuff that we have, whether it be our policy manuals, things like that. She met with Candy, and she indicated that she'd be interested in doing it if that's something a direction that we wanted to go. You know, we mentioned that, you know, we didn't want somebody that had a whole bunch of other political subdivisions that they were doing human resources for, somebody that we could be local, and you know, I think Shannon fills the position pretty nicely, and she included not only the letter, but some of her work experience as well within that field, so. And Shannon's here to answer any questions if we had any other. But it's something that the county, I think, we indicated last meeting that we're in desperate need of fulfilling. So, Candy, did you have anything else that you wanted to add, or any discussions with Chuck on how busy they are?
Yeah, Chuck was just, he was open and honest, and he just said that he's looking at retirement. You know, didn't want to have too much on the plate, but I mean, he was willing to help us out, you know, until we did find someone. I think it is a good idea to have someone locally, you know.
I don't disagree with you there
You
at
know.
all. But, even though this is part-time, I mean, we're actually looking at a job interview here, and, if we're gonna even hire part-time, we have to open that up publicly.
Right.
We can't
Yeah.
just pull it out of the hat, we're gonna take this one well. I mean, we'd be hauled in really quick, so.
Which is not a knock against you, of course.
Not a knock at all.
No offense taken, I totally
No.
understand. I guess I was kind of under, what we had discussed, we were, talking about options as far as providing services as a consultant type thing, but however it works within the realm of the county, I'm interested, as long as, you know, if you have a need and you would find my skills a match, whether it's through a part-time job or a contract type service.
I'd be very uncomfortable making an agreement this way, I mean, without some type of advertisement, some type of process of going through interviewing people. I wouldn't want to do it this way at all, because I'm afraid you'd get called on the carpet right now. And we can get our hands slapped, because this is not legal. So, we're using public funds, and we have to make everybody aware that there's a position open, so. You know, I'm not saying Shannon, I've been acquainted with you for a long time too, my wife has, but I just feel we gotta do it according to law here.
Absolutely.
I think a human resource person is what we definitely need in this county, not a full-time one, a part-time position of some type, a local person, I'm all in favor of. So you have a lot of benefits going there. I mean, I'll put them right on the table, I'll make it my feeling complaint. But I think we need to back up and do it that way, so. We'll be getting a call or a letter, you will.
I think it's important that, you know, it's good to know that we talk, you know, you visited with Chuck and I visited with you the other day about it. So we kind of know where the Association of Counties is, so we at least know our parameters of where we need to go. You know, it looks like them long-term probably aren't the solution, so we have to figure out our own solution, which to me, a part-time person would be the best solution. The question then is, you know, I agree with you, we have to advertise and go through the process of doing it correctly, but then there's two ways to look at it, and I'm not an employment lawyer, obviously, but hey, we have a lawyer here, so it's good. There's the difference between a part-time individual that's on your payroll and a consultant.
Correct.
So I think we would have to make the determination, do we want to do a consultant type deal, or do we want to go with somebody that's a part-time employee? And then we also, at that point in time, would have to come up with the parameters of what we expect of the employee. You know, how much they're gonna be in the building, how many hours, retainer type of setup if you're doing a consultant role. And that, to me, that would be what we need to do, is put those parameters on it, advertise it for how we wanna do it, pull in the information, see who applies, and then move forward. Under our budget.
I like your idea.
Our dollar figure.
I think the last one that worked for the county, we didn't have them parameters on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there has to be expectations.
It was way too freelance.
Placed on however you do it. You know, we expect, you know, an update on the handbook every year, or, you know, plus whenever there's, you know, whenever we hire, you know, maybe you being on, whoever we hire would be in on the interview process, and then, you know, obviously, maybe we want to have them in the building once a week or something like that, just for, you know, being able to hear people out and that kind of thing, just so we have a presence. But it all comes down to what do we feel we can get in for where kind of our budget number's gonna be at least. least in my opinion, you know, because we don't wanna go from 14,000 to 50,000. But going from maybe, you know, 14 to 20 or something would be a reasonable number if that's what it takes to get the job done. Because I think it's a good investment of our dollars, so.
I think it's a good idea to keep these evaluation of department heads up to date.
Yeah, that's a
You know, so they're done yearly, and the ones we're in charge of, we should be able to fall back on that folder, look at it and say, well, you know, I'm going fine here, you know, as long as we have somebody overseeing it. Evaluations are placed in them folders.
The only problem is we need a human resources officer to set up the human resources officer description so we can advertise for it. Because I don't know how to do it.
Chuck Porter is very helpful.
Yeah, if Chuck's willing to help us part-time, to kind of set something up, we can go with that.
Has interview questions ready for you if you decide to go with that, so.
That was kind of what I was thinking too. I think we need to talk to Chuck and see, I mean, what would be the difference between doing like a part-time employee and a consultant? The consultant, we wouldn't have to pay payroll taxes on, I would
Well,
suppose.
there's a
Less
variety
liability
of,
issues.
there's a variety of differences, but I think the commission needs to make a decision on what your expectations are and what needs you want met for the county. And then you look at your expectations and decide, can a consultant fill that role? Do we need a part-time person? And go from there. I can certainly prepare a list for you of the pros and cons of going either way, if you want that at the next meeting, or if you want it emailed out to you.
No, I think that would be very beneficial, and then we can kind of stew on it until the next meeting and then come up with a determination on which way we want to go, and then we can kind of go.
Right, and I think the way to go is as indicated by Commissioner Lightfon and Brown, that you make the determination and then advertise.
Yeah, and then in the interim, I would say, is it possible you could talk to Chuck about just setting up a description kind of
Yeah, I spoke with him yesterday.
okay, you did, okay, yeah, just to kind of get a, you know, what we're looking for, and I don't know if we have to necessarily set parameters on how much we want them in the building or something like that right away. We can talk about that at the next meeting once we kind of get everything panned out, but this is good, we're down the right path, I think, at least, so.
I think one thing we should do when we get a little farther along is put a dollar figure on what we want to spend. And ask potential people that are going to apply or take the interview, you know, what can you give us for this dollar amount? I think we need to keep that under control.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm going to ask about Chuck is, who's going to take his place? They're going to hire somebody evidently.
He didn't really say.
He wouldn't say? Okay. But he's going to be there a while, a year.
But he had mentioned last year when he was here that he was thinking about kind of, they had kind of tapped it to get this thing started and then try to hand it off type of thing. And I mean, I think it's good, but they started this program for things like this, and then it seems to me if you know you're going to have people that need it, wouldn't you want to expand the program a little bit? But I mean, I suppose it's, you know, chicken and egg type of thing, you know, the business has to be there and you got to be careful who you hire.
That's the reason I'm asking is, you know, how long do we have him around? Do you go guidance on this particular situation, what we're trying to do here, so.
I think he's kind of a short termer.
He
That's
is.
what I hear, yeah.
You better get your
Because he just kept saying the word retirement.
Well, summer is right around the
Yeah.
corner, he probably wants to go and enjoy
You
it.
know. But
So
I'll,
we can
I'll make contact.
give it, if you can give us some guidance, that would help you and Gary and
Yep.
get guidance from anybody we can get, I guess.
I can actually get together with Carrie and maybe sit down and call him.
And see if there's any way Chuck can kind of give us a ballpark on what he thinks fees would be on, you know, on a consultant basis or something like that, just so at least we have an idea. I mean, that will at least have, you know, we still have time to fill the budget, but our 14,000, I think will carry us for this year, or if we have to go ahead to kind of roll things in, but that will at least have an idea what we're kind of biting off here.
So we're not in as big of a hurry as I originally thought.
Well, I think we are to do something. I was just gonna say, when Adam brought the budget word up, I mean, to have somebody on board for this budget would be very beneficial, I think, for us, if we have the right person. I really do.
And I think that, you know, we, as far as setting parameters and doing a part-time or a consultant, I think we tell the part-time person, this is what we want, and this is what we're gonna pay you. Where a consultant says, okay, this is what you want, this is what I'm gonna charge you. kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll know more about that once we
almost
get
like a
Carrie
due
and
process,
trusted.
Yeah.
you know.
I agree. I mean, I wanna move as quickly as we can, but we have to be prudent about how we do it, like, you know, so we don't get our rear end in the jam, basically. You know, because you have to do things correctly, and you have to, it's no different than trying to sell the shop. You know, we can't just say, hey, you want to buy the shop from us, we gotta put it out on bids, we gotta go through the process, you know, it's just how it works, so. As quickly as we can get it done,
Without being a fly-by-night
yeah,
operation.
without getting ourselves in trouble, let's get her done.
Yeah, we had a lot of changes in property taxes at the end of the session also, and I think everybody got the paper on what that 12% figure is gonna mean to this county. It's a large amount of money, so we're gonna have to spend some time on this budget, that's for sure. And I could see a human resource person could really be very beneficial.
So to confirm the actionables that came out of this, are you going to reach out to the Trucking Association of Counties and ask him to potentially draw up for us what a human resources position might look like and entail and what kind of requirements we might want to set? And Carrie, if you'd be willing to look into the differences between working with a consultant versus putting someone on payroll and ensuring that we know exactly what we're looking to do with the money that we have available. And then we should set time for next meeting, I think.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks should be, or, well, yeah, 2 weeks until next meeting, with plenty of time to get her handled, and then we can move forward.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in, Jen.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will go back to the Water Resource District.
Good morning.
Morning.
We had a full agenda today, some things that we're working on. First of all, we have the meeting this Thursday in Carrington. Our full board is planning to attend. See, give some input there, or at least be in attendance. Secondly, we've agreed to start bulldozing some of the spoil piles from our maintenance on the Starkweather and Hamer-Sullivan drain. We've also done work with the Cavalier Water Resource District on developing a petition for a proposed vote for an Edmore Cooley Assessment District. The petition is done, and then the next procedure, according to Century Code, as I recall, is we have to have petition holders. They will carry it, and the Water Resource District has asked for a $25,000 bond from landowners in Ramsey and Cavalier counties to help with some of these costs. If it happened to be voted down with the public vote, then that bond would help reimburse the water district for our costs. So that is done, and we're waiting for petition holders to carry it and collect from landowners or farmers, you know, to get that process going. We do have some stream crossing standards that we sent into the engineer in Bismarck, and I emailed you that. They're still hiring. They are backlogged right now, but we are on their list. And hopefully we'll get it done a little sooner than the last one that we had to wait from Bismarck. Just a number of other things that we're dealing with. Nothing real. I guess one other thing that there appears to be a difference in policy between the Cavalier County Water Resource District and Cavalier County versus Ramsey County and Ramsey County Water Resource District regarding replacement of culverts in an assessed drain. So we're just dealing with our council right now today on trying to get either a standardized policy or determine who is reading Century Code correct. Currently,
That would be good.
yeah, and
Who do you think reads it right?
our attorney feels that we Ramsey County is reading it right, and he feels that Cavalier is not reading it right. They are requesting a 40-60 cost share, whereas Bruce feels that since the Starkweather Cooley was a maintenance project when it was done in that year 2000, that any culvert replacement should be borne by either the township or the county or the state, whoever has that box culvert or culvert in that crossing. Is that correct, Dan, pretty much?
Yes, but one of the, I think, probably the main difference is that I think the water board gets more money and the county hands off those decisions to the water board. On culverts.
Up there.
Yeah, in Cavalier County. So they're taking care of all culvert issues.
In Cavalier County.
So I think that's why the problem came up. You know, they come to us and we say, well, we don't do that, we go to the county.
You go to, okay.
So I mean, that's where the difference is.
So we're trying to get a handle on that. Either we'll have to have a little different policy or ask them to change, I'm not sure. Because they, as you, in an assessment district, they have taxed their citizens and put their dollars into a checkbook over here, and we've assessed and put the money in there. But when the culvert replacement, we come to Kevin, and up there, they're coming to the treasury, which is shared with Ramsey County. So we're trying to get a handle on that.
Part of the issue is whether it's a drain or if it's just a coulee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's two totally different ballgames.
Totally different game, totally different game. If it's a coulee, then I would say it's county's responsibility. If it's a drain, then it's gotta be an assessment. That's what I would say.
So one of us is going to have to change our policy.
It's gotta be an assessment.
Yeah. And there's,
This is why we have lawyers involved.
well, and we have a very
We got
good
one.
relationship.
No, I know.
We have a very good relationship with Cavalier County. Don't.
No, it's just clarification.
It's
of-
clarification.
You know, so we have continuity of policy
Yeah.
to a project like
Yeah,
this.
and part of it is, and Larry Gellner is chairman out there right now, good guy. Larry says, you know, in these 17 years, very little maintenance or even culvert replacement has been happening on that start with the coulee. Very little, it's been a low-cost deal. But now with the spring flow, there was some problems in Cavalier County and Ramsey County. We've already referred them off to Kevin, and now they're coming to us saying, well, we got this 40-60 cost share, here's the bill. So, there's a difference in policy, we're trying to deal with it.
It may never get resolved. I mean, Cavalier may have their policy and we may have ours, and that's the way it'll be.
Right, see, they're referring to century code just as we're referring to century code. Bruce feels century code is on our side and they're on their side. So that's really all I have, Dan. We're taking time from you and we've got a lot more to deal with over there. So, any questions for me?
Oh, I barely should go back to work.
Does the county do you guys send a letter to the Outlet Advisory Committee telling them to run the pumps?
We're going to.
Okay. Good.
We're actually back for it pretty quick, but meeting's on Thursday, so.
What did I, explain to me what I heard on the radio that man. They can't run the pumps now because of, what's the high water down there around Valley City or something? Or
Yeah, I suppose the Cheyenne is high yet. I guess I haven't, you know, that's
Same old story?
Yeah.
They look at the bottleneck at Cooperstown, and last year they wanted to keep that flow at Cooperstown around 800 CFS. That's kind of what it's been flowing at. It was, you know, upwards of over 3,000 CFS earlier this spring. And the other aspect of it, the Corps of Engineers has asked for the pool at Bald Hill, Lake Ashtabula, to be drawn down. So they're looking at a couple more weeks before they want the pumps turned on to get that pool level down in that reservoir.
It'd be very interesting to see
Yeah, just seems
how
like
available the money is to run these pumps with this new governor, I guess is probably how I should say it. But we had a very favorable governor before, but.
Well, it seems like when the lake
Seen
hits
our point of view.
1450,
Pardon me?
it seems like when the lake hits 1450, that
Things get slow?
things get slowed down, you know, foam, and all these issues that come up.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Pretty frustrating.
I agree.
So I think if we just can, you know, I would just like a confirmation from the state, you know, because the governor's handed it off to the State Water Commission. You know, that they're gonna take this thing down like they've always said, you know. And, because there's a lot of pressure to keep water in the lake.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Where do you think this governor's gonna go then? Where do you think?
you know, I don't know, I mean, I think it'd be fun to get him up here and give him some background. Because I think he's, like Jeff said, I think he's compassionate, I think he's open-minded, I think he could see both issues, and, I think he'd be, open to, you know, do what we've been,
I think he's very intelligent, he uses a lot of common sense, and I think if we could show that the effects of the loss of tax base for the land that's underwater in Ramsey County alone, you know, may have an impact on his decision-making. But I know that he's not sharing the meeting like Dalrymple did. He's handed that off, handed that off to the state engineer.
Is he gonna be there?
The governor, I don't know. Haven't heard whether or not he's gonna be there or not. So, yeah.
I didn't know that. I hadn't read it close enough yet, but it doesn't say on here.
It doesn't say that he's not gonna be there, but I do know that he's handed off that running of the meeting to Garland Herbley.
That's the new guy.
Yeah. Took over for Todd Sando.
Okay, did it work for us?
Did you send your letter already?
no, we're going down there.
You're gonna
No,
hand
we haven't
deliver
said.
it? You're gonna hand deliver it, or?
Well, a year ago, did we hand deliver a letter?
Yeah, I think
Did
we did, I think you did, or I think you did, yeah.
Well, we'll work on something here.
We'll draw up something.
Who's drawing up your letter, and then maybe we can compare notes. We'll compare notes.
Doesn't even know it yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that we'll have a discussion on is who's gonna be the Ramsey County representative on that commission, or that committee. You know, it's a governor appointed position, but Bill his term is up in end of June, but he indicated that he would like to see a current member of either the commission or possibly the water board as that Ramsey County representative.
Who's Bill?
And Bill Mertens.
Oh, Bill Mertens.
You know, I can fill that role, but I'm also on there as the representative from the Dells Lake Joint Board. And so it would be, I think, beneficial for somebody from Ramsey County to sit on there, just so we have the right number of people as if a vote comes up. So, you know, last year the governor asked for like a straw poll on a vote, and whether or not they do that again this year. The important thing I think we need to realize is that it's an advisory committee, that regardless of what that committee comes up with, the State Water Commission and the governor can take that with a grain of salt, or they can take it to heart and do what comes out of that committee, kind of thing, so. But I think we need to decide on who would be the Ramsey County representative for that committee.
Does that come from here?
Well, it can come from here. Generally, it's a governor-appointed position, but Bill's position doesn't expire till the end of June. Bill has indicated that he would like to see somebody from the current commission be the representative on that. So that's something we need to decide later on in our meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. New business. Approved site authorization. For the game.
Move the roof.
There's a motion and a second.
There was a second one that came in.
For the golf course,
Yep.
I'd include that in
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's.
You're including those both?
Yeah, we will.
I would think, you had made the motion, you want to include
Yeah.
that in the motion?
Yep.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Being none, motion carried. Discussion on county credit card policy. We will let Candy start with that.
During the audit with the state auditors, we got written up for not having receipts turned in for purchases on the county credit cards. Our policy is dated back to 2004. I think we need to like take a look at it, bring it a little bit up to date.
So what are they saying we're doing now?
We're not turning in actual receipts with purchases for the county credit cards. They frown upon handwritten receipts.
Handwritten one?
Handwritten, no. You know, we need to visit with all departments on a solution.
This is the number of violations we have here?
Yeah.
Are we- Okay. So you've got a plan on how to correct this?
Not really.
In looking over a couple of these other, we were handed out the Botno County Credit Card Employee Agreement and the Devils Lake Public Schools Cardholder Agreement. And they have some good points, and certainly both of them are a little bit more in depth than our policy is. There are 2 bullet points in particular, one from each agreement that I think would be appropriate to look at adopting for Ramsey County's policy. And those 2 points would be bullet point number 6 on the Botno County Credit Card Agreement and bullet point number 8 on Devils Lake Public School Agreement. And I took and wrote them down in the way that I think that they could be added into Ramsey County's credit card policy should we choose to adopt them. And the first one would be the county is hereby authorized to recover through payroll deduction any amounts incorrectly claimed as business expenses or funds for reconciliation that are 1 month in arrears of the credit card statement date. No deduction will be made for any period that would cause an employee's wages to be less than minimum wage for all hours worked for that pay period. If the full amount of the deduction cannot be taken during one pay period, deductions not taken may be carried over to successive pay periods until the full sum has been recovered. And that would be taken from bullet point 6 and edited to make sure that the verbiage is correct. And I also think it would be appropriate to look at adding from the Devils Lake Public Schools cardholder agreement, bullet point 8, which would be authorized users of county credit cards are responsible for obtaining a receipt for all transactions. Receipts must be turned into the county auditor's office at least monthly, and I got that from Candy, talking to Candy about how those brought in. And in cases where receipts are not turned over to the county auditor in a timely manner, a $25 fine may be levied against the department within which the violation took place. So I would suggest that both of those would be appropriate to look at adopting, and perhaps Carrie could make sure that we word it all correctly so that it's watertight, but that was my take on it.
Should let Gary look at this for Bill next?
We can draft up a couple of samples of revised policy 803 for the commissioners to look at. I think it makes sense, excuse me, I think it makes sense because as Candy indicated, the state auditor comes in, they do general kind of oversight, make sure everything's in order, and keeping things transparent and people accountable for the county funds, it only makes sense to have a policy that's in line with that. The policy that we have is a good policy, it's just throwing in 2 provisions like that allow the county to seek reimbursement without a whole bunch of other kind of legwork that has to take place to seek it outside of a policy. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I think it's pretty standard in any type of business. It's certainly standard where if you have an authorized credit card, you're responsible to follow the policies to get your transaction reports and receipts in a timely fashion.
Well, the biggest thing is they're not hanging on to the receipts, not getting them back. Department heads are,
Well, we have Do you guys wanna speak?
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
I
Your-
have
your
just
guys'
something to
opinion.
add, but
you know,
I can let Steve go.
The only problem I have, I don't have, for anything on offer, I have no problem doing something like that. The problem comes into play is when my guys especially, because we're over half of the missing receipts. Out of last year, there was 18, 16 in 2016, and 10 of them were from my deputies over the year. When you pull up to a gas station at 1 o'clock in the morning to get gas, and you put in your card and it spits out no receipt, out of paper, doesn't work. Now we're gonna penalize our deputies for putting gas in their car because they couldn't get one. There are some stations that, you know, I guess that are 24 hours, which we can fix that. Otherwise, you know, that's not an excuse. But it's happened several times at Senex, where you pull up and they're not open, and you can't go back the next day and get a receipt.
Yeah.
No. I have tried.
I would think most merchants you could get a receipt.
I went back the next day to get one, and I went back an hour and a half later and I couldn't get one. It was during the same business day.
They tell you, you have to remember what time, what lane were you at,
And then
because they have
they
the
couldn't give me,
system.
they could not provide, it happened to me personally, it happened to my card. I don't have that many, I mean, I'm not on there, but it does happen to me as well. And I just think that's a little harsh for, you know, something at 3 in the morning that they fill up with gas before they take their squad car home, to now we're gonna get a $25 penalty or the cost of the fuel purchase because the printer says out of paper or unable, it doesn't work, which is not our issue. And it doesn't tell you that until after you're done filling.
Well, and certainly it's not my intention, nor I think anyone on the commission's intention to penalize, you know, anyone for using a county credit card and, you know, doing everything by the book and then not getting.
We do our best to make sure we have the receipts turned in.
Sure.
But we do have problems, and we have, and the one problem I have, that Candy and I have talked about this quite a bit, you know, is a problem I have to deal with personnel issues, period, and I'll take care of it, now that I know, okay? But there are the times where, like, one of my deputies on there, you know, the last time Jackie called and says, I'm missing these receipts, I go to each and play, what's going on? Well, I went into Senex and I put it in the car, and no paper. 2 o'clock in the morning on a, you know, and we don't get the notice that we're missing it, you know, because they have 20 some they're turning in every month. You know, we hang on to them for the entire month, and then we turn them in at the end of the month with our handwritten receipt, our handwritten log that we keep plus the receipts. And then Jackie goes through them and says, okay, you're missing this date and time for this amount at this place.
and I have reached out to the state auditors again with an email asking them, you know, what is satisfactory to them,
And we haven't got a response
you
yet.
know? And I checked it before I came in here and I haven't gotten anything.
So I completely understand the accountability and having a receipt, I get that, and we try our best to do that.
Sure.
But there are times when that's just doesn't, you know, and we're probably the biggest guy, you know, the biggest users of the county credit card. I got 6 cars running, 7, well, with our transport cars, 7 people running credit cards. You know, and 90, you know, so in the entire year of we did 10 last year. For a total of what, how many dollars? I think the whole 16 was at $387 for the entire year.
You know, but.
And that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is we need, you know, we do make every effort to get one, but there are times when we just can't.
But then
So,
for the year 2017,
We're
we're
at 10.
already up to 10.
yes, but one of them is an issue I can take care of personnel wise.
Let me ask this then, and perhaps the state auditor wouldn't find it acceptable, but to make sure that we, you know, potentially we could look at it. What if, you know, if you get gas and the machine doesn't print out a receipt, is there any way that we can take a picture of that and provide that?
Yes. Is that acceptable to the auditors though?
Sure, well.
And that was part of my email.
Right, and then you mentioned that this morning.
It will not be. You need a receipt. I've had experiences with the Department of
But when
Services,
when visiting briefly with them, you know, I asked them, you know, they all have a smartphone. You know, is that acceptable?
That's an option we have.
When there is no paper or whatever the case may be.
if I could just add, I take exception to unauthorized, because these are authorized purchases without a receipt. It's not like they're going out and buying whatever. It's the lack of receipt, and when you have, we had 579 receipts for our agency in 2016, and we missed 5 receipts. It's like 0.44%. It's very low, so I feel like, and I totally understand that there are findings of an audit that you're going to fail and you're going to need to do better. I don't know that, I certainly don't have a problem with a policy. I just think it's a little bit harsh because it speaks to unauthorized. This is lacking a receipt. It's not unauthorized purchases. They're authorized purchases without a receipt, and I don't know if we're splitting hairs here or not. But yeah, you should be responsible, and I'm actually on the list a couple times, and I actually happened to make it in 2017 too. So it is one of those things, slips your mind. You have a lot of other receipts. The days of we don't use cash anymore, or we're constantly swiping it and keeping those things is difficult. We're working on it. What I've said to our employees is please get the receipt. If you don't, make every effort to go back and get it. A picture of what you bought, I suppose, would be good. Ours end up being a little bit different than gas. Steve and I had a conversation about this. It's, a meal for a foster kid, diapers at 2 in the morning. Mine are a little different. There's no excuse. It was a mouse that was during the day here, so it wasn't an emergency, so a 2 in the morning thing. But that's what, and Candy and I have had conversations too, so I get it. It's just, it's a very low percentage of the receipts. When you look at $19,000 worth of receipts, and our total, we were missing $88. And so for an audit finding, I get it that you have to have a receipt. That's just all I have to say.
Sure, and I appreciate, your insight, because you guys are the ones that are dealing with this, so we need your input as far as what's reasonable. I would state though, to your point about unauthorized, that was a separate bullet point.
Right.
And that bullet point was speaking about the county being authorized to seek reimbursement for unauthorized use of a credit card.
Okay.
So if a county employee decided that they needed to go buy something personally and for whatever reason used a credit card that belonged to the county, that the county could seek reimbursement, we're just formalizing that. That was a separate bullet point, but I take your point.
Okay, I haven't seen what you're looking at. So.
Sure, yeah.
Well, we've actually had it happen where one of my officers, deputies, pulled off the wrong credit card and filled his own car with gas.
Sure.
But he immediately came in and said, I screwed up. Here's my check to reimburse the county for here's the receipt, and I put it in. But it's also gone the other way where they've taken out their personal credit card and put it in the county card. And things happen in the world that.
You don't get notes about that.
And so then they bring in the receipt and we do a voucher, we reimburse them for, very, very rare, very few and far between, but things do happen where, you aren't 100% of the time gonna be able to provide a receipt.
Sure, and I recognize that. Do you feel that there's something wrong with
No,
clarifying the county's position on that?
I just don't know what the answer is. I want, I've asked Jeff and I had this conversation, Candy and I have had this conversation. What do the auditors say is an acceptable form when you cannot provide a receipt for whatever reason?
I don't think.
What is the acceptable answer to rectify our problem? Because I know Candy, I know we don't want to have an issue with the auditors, I completely get that. But what is an acceptable form of when you cannot get that receipt? There's got to be an answer. Or is it just an automatic red flag?
I don't think there is an answer. I think the answer is you make a good faith effort to indicate that this is an authorized purchase, my supervisor sees it, it's gas, and you're gonna get a ding on an audit. That's my research on it. And it's the supervisor then saying these are authorized purchases, and I'm guessing if it came to pass that it was found out later that some deputy, some social worker is swiping their card for personal uses, it would be on us. Because we have said, I believe you that you put gas in your car. That's my research on it, but I'm not sure. I think there's always gonna be dings on an audit.
I can see
Not
the
that we
picture
want that,
thing getting instead of waiting for I'm just gonna take a picture of it and I'll just give you 28 pictures every month that I turn in, if that's an acceptable form, versus the paper, because it's hard to keep track of those 20-some little sheets of paper every month, and they do, but they do occasionally miss one. That's the user side of it. I mean, if we're having an unjustified credit or an unjustified charge, each of our credit cards is issued to an individual. It's not a blanket card anymore. It's not issued to Ramsey County, so we have to, it's issued, my name is on my credit card. So if there's a questionable charge on my, an unauthorized or whatever it may be, it come, okay, Steve Nelson, what did you do on this date? What did you buy here that you have no receipt for? And I better be able to come up with something. I get that. And that's what we're talking about is, you know, how do you prove that, what that receipt is? But there's gotta be a way to rectify that, and there's gotta be, you know, a little bit between us that,
Let me ask Candy this
Okay,
question. Does the auditors, the only way they'll accept it is if there's a receipt? That's it?
a printed receipt.
I've emailed them with what their suggestion, you know, if,
Well, it's gotta be more
If it's
suggestion,
out of
what they're
paper.
gonna say, okay, that's all right, if we got a receipt, right?
Well, I think what they'll come back with a recommendation of how to correct this in their final audit report. I think what we were trying to do is get a jump start on that. You know, and say, hey, we've corrected these issues to the best of our ability. And, you know, if that's not acceptable to them, but I know they're gonna come back with a recommendation of how to correct the problem that they identified or the problem that they found, you know, because that's what they do. You know, okay, we found, you know, a missing check or missing receipt. You know, this is the things that we've identified or what have you, and this is how we'd like to see you correct it. You know, I would assume that that's how they will come up with their final report or what have you, and that's gonna be, what, 2 or 3 months down the line. You know, it's not a quick process.
Let's work on it then.
I would guess we're not the only county dealing with it.
No.
So,
It's
yeah.
statewide as well as not only between the county and the state agencies that have credit cards. This is the same issue.
There's a human error margin in audits, and this is one of them, and I'm not minimizing this, but it's very low percentage for a human error. When I look at ours, 0.4% is a very low human error on an audit, and I have audits every 3 months on 5 programs. This is like stellar for us.
If I may suggest, we should have Gary and Candy come up and redo the policy somewhat. Sounds like Gary has some good ideas. And bring it back to us in the next meeting. If the final audit report's not gonna get here for 2 or 3 months and we have a plan in place, I think it would make them happy, and there's no way of finding these receipts.
the ones that have a line,
Literally probably in there.
There's been a couple of them too.
ones that have a line drawn through them by us making phone calls and having them look back through months upon receipts.
There's over half of those ones that I have that are my responsibility to correct with the employee. So I can take care of that, but that's an internal thing I can do. The ones that we actually don't have, which are about the other half of them, is the issue that we're talking about. Now, the other side of the coin is, that policy was developed in 2003, and that's when we changed from the actual having a company card, whether it be Cenex, Tesoro, BP. We had 3 different cards in our cars to use, which was a county card. And there were some problems with those. So we switched to this system, and that's the history of that policy. Anyway, and so it hasn't been touched since they developed, since we went to this card system we have now.
I have one quick
But is the,
question for Candy in regards to just the listing generally, because I don't have a credit card that we use, so I'm not familiar with how the practice is. But this is a year total, so every month on a certain day, do you get turned in receipts from all the department heads?
end of the month.
End of the month, and so every month you know which ones don't have a receipt.
And right now, Jackie will call us and say, hey, so-and-so's missing a receipt from this date, this time.
Well, why is Jackie calling saying someone's missing a receipt?
Because she needs a receipt for it.
Jackie gets the bill from the credit card.
She gets the bill from the credit card company.
So she's reconciling things that the slips, the receipts coming in to her credit card statement.
Way to do things.
So then she'll call us, and that's when we'll handwrite out, okay, on this date and this time at this location,
So missed one.
for this amount, I got gas, and they sign their name, then that's what we've been sufficing
So
since.
you don't necessarily, like, when you come to work on Monday morning, if somebody's filled their car 2 or 3, and then the next time they come in, they don't come up to you and say, I didn't get a receipt,
No.
it didn't get printed out.
No,
so
and that's
it's
something we
handwritten."
can talk to them about, but.
Yeah, that's a good term.
My other question is,
Right,
what I was on this, is if you put these into play, is that gonna cure the audit issue by penalizing, are we still gonna get the not good, check mark by implementing, and is that gonna solve the issue?
Statistically, no, we're still gonna have a human error of at least,
But you're still missing a receipt, whether you penalize
You're
the
definitely
employee
gonna
or.
always have a human error, but I think a good thing about revising the policy, and it's not on anyone, because everybody makes,
right,
there is error, everybody makes.
And that's what I point
It's
at.
the situation where you have intentional unauthorized purchases that you then have some teeth in your policy without having to start a
Absolutely.
separate civil or criminal action
Totally agree with that.
get recomps for the county.
And I just wanna, add really quickly, I understand where you're all coming from, and I don't want to, pull out the ruler and be slapping people's wrists that don't need it. And I recognize that most of this isn't intentional, and that some of it can't be avoided. But I think that the point that I'm trying to make with suggesting changes like these is that we owe it to the county to be aggressive in our pursuit of excellence in everything that we do. And I'm not making a statement that you all are not, but I'm saying that our policies should reflect that, so that if the day should come when people who are perhaps less talented and motivated to seek excellence as you, that we have some way to ensure that. And so while it may not be a problem for you, we have to make sure that as a county, we have our ducks in a row. And the second thing that I want to make sure that we're aware of is these proposed changes that I'm stating or stated. I didn't pull them out of nowhere, right? I pulled one out of the Devils Lake Public School and one out of Botano County. And so I'm not saying that it's
We've done our
arbitrarily.
research in the same manner that you have.
Sure.
Different counties have different things.
Sure.
Yeah. My inclination would be, put it in the hands of Carrie and Candy. Put some more teeth in the policy for unauthorized usage like we're talking about. And then at that point, visit with the auditors, see if you can get some kind of inclination about how other counties are dealing with this to fix the problem. Craft that into the policy at the same time. If there's any way we can fix it, bring it back to the next meeting, we'll discuss it again and see if we have any resolution of that.
So just to get an idea of what the commission is thinking here, if we enact these changes as noted or as recommended, and Carrie's got, and then that's what we want to do, and that's fine. What happens the first time we're missing a receipt? Is the officer going to be held accountable for that dollar amount and be charged it, or the $25 fine? Or
Well, I
if
don't think we know that because the policy isn't in front of us yet.
I know it's not in front of you. I said, if you're going to go, you have to have some decision, what are you going, at what point? And
I think if it's a situation where your officer didn't get a receipt printed out, but they took a picture of it, I think the county's probably happy with that, theoretically.
Right, and so
It might not make the auditors happy.
That's right.
It might not make the auditors happy,
But that's my point, is that if you wanted to avoid a fine, if you could take a picture and show Candy that, hey, just so you're aware, you're gonna get a slap on the wrist and because we lost it, but here's the picture proving that we're at least doing it correctly by the county.
Yeah,
The
the auditors still might not be happy with us. But
that's my thought, is that at least that way we've got some accountability and that we understand why the issue happened, is my thought. But I think we won't know that until next meeting.
if I could just say I really appreciate, Christy, our administrative staff officer, does a great job at, I'm losing your name because of, she does a great job asking us for them, and we appreciate that very much. It sometimes just get missed, but we try to have them all there for the person that audits those, but.
Do you think that changing it from once a month to like the middle of the month and then the end of the month?
What?
So that you could go back
Right.
to where, I mean, Holiday didn't have a problem with looking back. Senex, on the other hand, had a little bit harder time because when they pay at the pump, they don't, I mean, there's no
Goes to the
inside,
computer in
it's like,
Chicago or wherever.
yeah, whenever they do their daily, what did she say, their, something with their daily thing, then everything is
Gone.
It's gone.
Yeah,
Then we
to
have no
Carrie's
recourse.
point, I think it's really an internal thing where we've talked to staff to not make it feel punitive. Please, every week, check your receipts. If you're missing one, we can help you try to backtrack and find that, because it happens. So we've kind of approached it in the department by talking about, we really need to be accountable, you know, having a better procedure to do that each week. Because by the end of the month, you forget what you did the first week.
Sure.
Especially if it's 2 in the morning and you're putting on gas, or you're hauling children around, to use my mom's word, you're transporting children at 2 in the morning. So it's just one of those things. So we're working on it internally, and so I appreciate that, Carrie. I think that was a good point, that there's some probably internal procedures that we need to put in place in the department to make sure we don't have that error. So, thank you.
Okay, I got a few questions now. You have the 17 here, you have the 16 here. Have you gone back farther back? Is it just a problem that just keeps coming up in numbers, or is it just a problem that just recently happened?
We've had this issue.
Okay,
Every
okay.
month we get one.
So if we've had this issue, I believe then that, you know, both Steve and Rhonda both have said it right. You know, they need to go back and they need to talk to their employees, and then we kind of need to watch to see if after their discussion with their employees that things straighten up. Maybe things have just bubbled up to the surface now, and now we need to address it. To fine our employees, these people have jobs of honor. I think to fine our employees is really the wrong way to go with this, but obviously we need to sit these employees down and say, look, you know, your name, you know, it's the same names. You need to be accountable, you know, maybe it's more that their job should be in jeopardy than fining them. I mean, to me to fine an employee is just kind of silly.
Well,
But
Mark, can I?
that's just my opinion.
No,
But you know, these people have jobs, they have employees, and so does Kevin. You know, sit their employees down and explain to them, look, you know, I just got my butt ringed by the county commissioners. We need to fix this, and then, you know, from now until the end of the year, if we get one, there's our human error. And I understand that human error happens, but I also understand that at 3 in the morning in the middle of nowhere with somebody kicking on your back window or some little kid screaming, and I understand that, you know, there's going to be human error.
I have no problem with taking a picture of it as long as that's acceptable for Candy. But that's not gonna solve Candy's problem, what's brought this whole issue to light. And that's why we need to find out from the auditors exactly what's acceptable, so we can try to make our 100% effort to make sure we're compliant.
Absolutely. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. Make us, and I agree, I'm fully with that.
Sure.
But I just wanna know how we can get there and accomplish that with the, you know, something that's.
Sometimes just point this out.
I agree with that we need to let Carrie and Candy perhaps look into this and figure it out. My only point to you, Mark, is I wasn't suggesting, in what I mentioned, I wasn't suggesting we levy fines against individuals. I said that the fine should be levied against the department. You know, and then, because I agree with you, these people do have jobs, and that this is human error. So I'm not suggesting that we.
Okay, I kind of thought that you were going to, you know,
We
specifically.
spent quite a bit of time on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we had a couple zeros behind this 379, we'd have a real damn problem.
Yeah,
We do have a problem,
Let's
absolutely.
just let these two ladies work on this problem and use
Thank
some
you.
common
And
sense.
let our department head.
And let's not bring it back to the commission for our further review. How's that sound?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. Moving on. Approve new capital assessment policy.
It is under the recommendation of the state auditors that they have changed our capital asset policy. They've included useful life of things now where they never had a schedule of that before. it's just, updating how we keep track of our inventory for them and make sure that we're compliant with their requests.
So, we've never had the useful life.
Nope.
Year figure in it before.
If it's in there, that's all.
Yeah, what's, I mean, that's pretty standard auditing practice that you have useful life and depreciation values on a year-to-year basis, and this is what the auditors suggested. I mean.
And it's, their email said that it's, you know, it's something that they're doing with all of their clients this year, so.
To answer one question, the building you're sitting in is over 40 years old,
Uh-huh.
so there's actually no value to this then? Or I'd like to ask them that question. They must have a value on this building.
It is valued, but from year to year, it never changes.
Once it is, it's.
Yeah,
Once
it's no different than depreciated
it
value,
doesn't
market value
depreciate.
on a piece of farm equipment or any kind of building. It's depreciated over a different span of life.
So do you need a motion on this?
Yes.
So, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve new capital assessment policy. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Being none, motion carried. Discussion on surplus property. You're up again.
Okay. Kind of put together, a notice that we would advertise in the paper instead of spending, $500 on advertisement for our surplus sale to kind of break it down. And I went by, I kind of followed Cass County's policy of how they handle their surplus sales. And anything that's valued $1,000 and under, that it would just go through the auditor's office. And then anything over that, including vehicles, would go to the commission. And then I would just do, like for the items that are located downstairs in the basement right now, that we would just have it in the front part of our office earlier that day. The vehicles and everything located at the highway department would be that evening at the commission meeting. Same rules apply, you still have to do a sealed bid, you still have to, it's just 2 separate times. We're gonna put it on the website, we're going to put a list on the counter, you know, for people to have access to and to take a look at it, and, you know, so that we don't have to have it through the whole commission meeting of.
And the people that bid in the afternoon or whatever, 4 o'clock, they'll just be told that your bids will be finalized at the commission meeting? Is that, or the auditor?
Either that, or just have it,
Let the auditor do it?
you know, just have me do it, and I would run it the same way as what we would do in the commission meeting, that, you know, you can be present to raise your bid, and we'll just go down the items, and, I mean, we only have 23. And then, once the sale is done, they can pay for it right there, go downstairs, take their stuff, and.
In other words, the first auction, the first 90% of the items is gonna be computers and chairs and desks and whatever.
Yeah.
And the other
Portion is.
4 cars or 4 vehicles or whatever will be at home.
Yeah, which has to be before the commissioners.
I really like that computer buyback program that Cass County has with the vendor.
Yeah.
You know, because computers can be sometimes, you know, did you get them cleaned up and all your data that you don't want out there removed, kind of thing.
And I know that when we're done with different ones, I mean, there's hard drives down there that have been placed throughout the building, and Steve has gone through each one and, you know, stripped them and taken out hard drives and.
Is that something you guys do as well, Rhonda?
Yeah, NRG takes ours, I haul them to,
Okay.
and they dispose of them. They probably use a vendor the same as Cass County, I'm not sure who their vendor is.
He didn't really say who it was, but.
You know, because most of our offices, except for yours, would be, you know, yours is highly confidential.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever stripped any, I don't think Steve's ever stripped any. We've disposed of them
No.
through a secure disposal.
Now, there's programs that you can get to wipe hard drives and rewrite them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I know working in that industry, it was really easy to find people's personal data, even though they said it was clean. You know what you're doing, you know where to look, and it's still there. You need a motion to approve that surplus property.
You know, if it's a policy that you just wanna follow every year, so that we don't, you know. And our plan is to
Let's try it.
only do it every other year.
I like Ed's idea, let's try it once and then after that go from there, see if it creates a habit or if it works.
Yeah, that'd be my inclination too. Let's give it a shot, and if people don't complain and they think it works okay, then we can draft a policy that we'll do every year, and then we can just, add it to the things at the beginning of the year, where we say anything about.
Probably with the end.
Yeah, I mean, it never hurts to try something a little different. Just get
I'll
it
follow
followed
one of
around
these
or something.
meetings, a bit on a desk or something. I don't know.
Does it use a dollar figure, like $1,000 or something?
Yeah, and anything that might be close, you would just put on the one that has to go before it. Anything that's obviously like a chair, unless it's like the best chair in the world. You know, it's not gonna be $1,000. Yeah, your chair. Yeah, your chair. Hopefully we're not selling that at auction.
Visitors and delegations then?
Well, do we want to do that water?
Oh, that's right.
That,
It's like, oh,
Approve this so that we can get it.
Oh, yeah, we need a motion to
yeah,
that.
so motion to approve that for one time.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead with that policy this time.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, being none, motion carried. Now we will go to the Double Lake Outlay advice.
First off, is there anybody that wants to go that, this is Thursday at 1 o'clock, last till 4 generally. Anybody that wants to represent Ramsey County on that?
I've been to a number of them, I guess. More than one, I guess, maybe 3 years or 4, I don't know.
Is that something you'd like to continue doing that,
Yeah,
or?
I'll do that.
Okay.
I do. I want to see it continue, definitely want to see it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
we make a motion to,
I would move to approve Commissioner Brown be our Ramsey County representative on the Devil's Lake Outlet Advisory, Outlets and Management Advisory Committee meeting.
Second.
there's a motion and a second.
I have a question before we vote. Do we have to, since it's technically the governor's appointment, do we have to make our recommendation or somebody get a hold of the governor's office and tell them this is what we want to do? Because you could go down there on Thursday as our representative and not be able to necessarily sit on I mean, I know it's still just an advisory committee, but I think somebody needs to give the governor's offices a call and say this is what we'd like to do.
I can do that. I know it's the Water Commission that kind of puts this together for the governor's office.
Or the Water Commission.
Right. So I can let Mike Noon down at the State Water Commission know.
Sneaking question if the governor's going to be there.
I'll do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree, I mean, we should have somebody that's,
Yeah.
sitting here involved in it.
Well,
If
now.
you're willing to do it, that's fantastic, because
Yeah.
I'm open to.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint Commissioner Brown to the advisory board. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Being none, motion carried.
And that letter, we should write that letter.
Yep.
Of support of Donnie Thomas.
So, do you have copies to show?
I'm sure we had one last year.
For the resolution.
We sent one last year, a couple of years. We sent one. Can you have it?
I'm trying to remember if we sent one last year or not. I know we did the year before. I mean, we've been consistently on record that we'd like them to run the pumps until we get to 46.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think, at this point, I don't
It's just
think we
been
change
like
anything.
this couple months.
Candy, you can look that up. That letter should be on
That's
change date.
like minor things.
Who, like, who would go?
I'm not kidding.
Better take it with us.
Help them.
Get it to Jeff and
Yeah, I would
guess
say
he
give it to
allow
Jeff or to you, and we just we would craft it like we have in the past, and then just enter it as public record there to say we're on
Yeah.
record saying.
But as
that's where
far
we're
as
gonna
who
go.
we wrote it to,
I would just assume it's either addressed, the governor's making the ultimate decision.
Yeah.
So I would assume we would address it to the governor as we have in the past. I mean, even if he does have a designee making the decision or the water commission, it's still a buck stops with him.
I'm sure Elizabeth's got a copy somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think it was more like a resolution.
Yeah.
was it?
But,
I was kind of going that route.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking so.
I'll make the motion that we draft a resolution again saying that we want to run the pumps till 1446 as we have in the past.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Being none, motion carried. Candy has a few other law enforcement center bills she would like to add.
That's the envelope that Steve handed to me. For the month of April, the law enforcement center bill was $71,130.57.
That was for what month, April?
April.
Any entry on there?
Yeah, she's got them all here.
Re-entry, there's, yeah, but there's two separate.
Oh.
So re-entry must be, it says RRC placements. That was for $4,375. And then we have another one for the SRAM bracelet of $195. Something with juvenile. Okay.
I'm fine at the jail, man.
We would like a motion to approve those.
You guys can take a look at them too. That was the envelope that he handed to me, so.
That's just secondaries, 4375 and 71.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Frith,
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye. Motion approved. Visitors and delegations.
I might add that tomorrow we're having a pre-job for Ramsey 28 paving, Thursday. It was Wednesday.
Wow.
So check your calendar.
Okay. And Rhonda.
I just want to mention that Senate Bill 2206 passed the social service funding bill in lieu of the 12% property tax buy-down. So numbers, Lisa and Candy and I have discussed these. Numbers look pretty good for us. Our property tax buy-down was about $1,900,000 and something. Or excuse me, $1,721,589. And so the buy-down for social services or the swap, they didn't do both. They considered 8 and 4. There was like dozens and dozens of amendments and things that flew around. It's hard to keep track. But the dust is settled, and we will get, for social services, $1,964,092. Our budget is, this year was $2.4 million. The language for the grant program was left in there, so Kenny and I have talked about that, and we talked at length with Senator Elke, Representative Johnson, and Westland a little bit about keeping that language in there, and that is in there. As far as I know, I'm trying to, legislative council is behind, but is that what you would say, with a final bill posted on the website? I did get what they voted on out of the Senate, and it looks like the $523,000 that we got, that grant language is still in there for counties that border Indian reservation, less taxable. So we look pretty good for 2018. I just really wanted to focus on part of it is a study to look at delivery of services and caseloads. And of course, I believe that we deliver services pretty efficiently and effectively in Ramsey County, so it'll be interesting to see how they take a look at that and what the governor comes up with. Again, we didn't hear much from the governor. He didn't appoint a Department of Human Service head until March, and then I believe he was gone for a lot of the session. So we don't know. It's kind of an unknown with the head of the Department of Human Services. He came from CHI St. Alexis. He was some sort of CEO there, so we'll see private industry. He was quite surprised to find out that every county runs their county social service differently. Some of us have cars, some of us pay full health insurance. He was shocked at that. And so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes down, because of course it's run very differently. A handful of counties do not have a means test for elderly and disabled services. If you come in and you want services and you're elderly or disabled, they provide those. That's kind of shocking to me, but that's what their county commission and they have decided to do. So it's going to be an interesting look at how county social services are delivered in counties and the differences. So I'm excited about that because I think we do a good job. And it'll also be interesting to see all the different nuances across the state in providing services. You know, those counties that don't do a mean test for elderly and disabled, that would mean, well, a lot of money for us. We do a means test, Medicaid eligible, that's the only clientele or individuals we serve through home and community-based services. So, and we'll continue to, which has gotten to be a very, very involved process with Central Medicaid Services, CMS. We continue to bill Medicaid for services for elderly and disabled, and we've begun the process, which has been even more complicated, to bill services for our child and family services when we provide in-home services. We haven't got a lot of clear direction on that, and so we're wading through that. That's like put you to sleep manuals. I'm trying. So we're gonna try to bill that to get maybe $100 grand, I'm not sure. It just, and then you could be liable to pay it back if you do it wrong, because we haven't gotten a lot of direction. Hospitals employ whole departments and whole teams of people to figure out how to bill Medicaid, so I'm a little leery about it, but other counties are doing it and have done it successfully and not been asked for money back, so we'll forge ahead. So I thought so far it's gonna go okay. Candy and I are anxiously awaiting May 8th to get the final, so.
It's legislative wrap up.
And just to add, Towner County pays us about $250,000 to provide social services for them, and their 12% property buy down, that's about half, so they lost out big time. And there are a number of other counties, we're getting emails fast and furious from other county social service directors where their commissioners have let them know and their auditors have let them know, tax people have let them know, whoever, this is not good for us. And it is kind of sad because, in my opinion, totally my opinion, Towner County is being penalized for doing the right thing, consolidating the services and look at combining because of their low caseloads. And so it's a hit for them. I talked to Joni on Friday and she said it's about 6 to 7% hit for them. So their property taxes, they'll have to generate that money somewhere. So that's sad. And that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you.
If I could comment quickly, I'd like to thank Rhonda on behalf of Ramsey County for all the time she spent with Bismarck. She did a marvelous job down there talking to legislators, talking to human services people, talking to a lot of people. I know she does a very good job when we send her down there. 2 years ago, the commission was behind sending her down there, and she really helped us send with this grant money, and she did an excellent job. All I ever had from the legislators from our district was good reports from Rhonda. Rhonda knows the right people. She knows the people to talk to. That's what they were telling me. So we're very fortunate to have a director that cares for their department like that. So I wanted to take that opportunity to do that. Another thing with that grant money that I think will come through the human services. And that's what it's been before. And I've been told by our legislators that that grant money's in there. say enough about the things that our social service department did to get this money coming back to Ramsey County. If we had to take 1.9 million or $2 million and throw it back at our taxpayers on real estate, oh, you know, we'd really be scratching our head. You know, this is a big benefit to Ramsey County. Collier County, yes, I agree with you in a way, Rhonda, it's too bad because they're with us. I mean, they've already been with us for a number of years. And they're cheapened up their social service program by coming with us and making things happen. I think we consider them an equal partner. They have many commissioners on there too. They have as many at-large people on there as Ramsey County does. I think it's a program, and I've been told by our legislators that the Lake Social Service is a model from North Dakota. And I think we're going to be looking at what we do here. And I think it's going to be very beneficial. Some of these small counties, they don't need a social service department. They should be combining. You know, it's hard to stick up for them when they've got one director, 2 or 3 people working, and the director's salary is over half of the budget. I mean, come on. Each county does not need a director. There's not enough people to serve in some of these counties. You know, there's not enough services to give out, I think it's for the betterment. Carlson told Dennis Johnson that he didn't want 1,000 employees running around without their control. And I told Dennis, I said, you can tell Carlson, you can tell him, call me if you want. But I said, I guarantee you the county's gonna do better with these 1,000 employees than the human services is doing with their employees. You know, I throw that out at anybody. Because I think Ramsey County, Collier County have done a very good job of running social service. Very good. It's not that I'm on the board. I have very little to do with it, but we have good people running our program, and they care about the people they serve. You know, some people downgrade social services a lot, but in our society, we need to take care of people that need the services. That's as simple as that. Thank you, Rhonda, for all your work.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Rhonda.
I'll get off my cat.
Okay. We'll go to report on portfolios. We'll start with Jeff.
I have one thing for Kevin. Did we, John Martinson was in a meeting or 2 ago about a bridge or a culvert up in, I can't remember if it was.
The bridge.
Okay, was that, and it was referred back over to the water board, was that all,
That's
you
what
know, is working on?
Jim was talking about. The
Okay.
state water was gonna do a study
The
to
stream
see what-
crossing standards, yeah.
see what size culverts.
Okay.
So that's on board.
It is, it's gonna take a while, but it is,
It's
yes.
gonna get done this year?
The study, but the work will probably be next summer, I'm guessing. They take that long. Yeah.
Well, I did talk to Carrie, went up and saw the improvements that they're doing in their office. It looks like it's making progress. Roger was upstreaming the door frames yesterday, so got a little bit of a smell issue, but nothing they could not handle. I know you guys are busy. Your caseload is busy, so talk to Bill at the extension office. You know, Bill gave his update here. Nothing new there. Steve's got nothing really going on. So,
Okay. Adam.
Let's see here. Rhonda covered the social services stuff pretty well. For Devil's Lake, we've been, there's been a lot of groups talking about, downtown development, comprehensive plan for the city type of thing. Forward's kind of on the periphery of that, but it's involved. There's also the Downtown Alliance as well as the Chamber is doing some work on those kind of things as well. Biofiber out in the old Ultra Green building is, we've been told it's moving ahead. They are getting their funding financed through the state to buy their equipment. Hopefully they're talking in August, I believe, or somewhere in there. They should be pushing stuff off the line is what they're saying. So hopefully that'll come to fruition. County Housing Authority, I wasn't able to make it to last month because I was double booked. The only other question or comment I would have is, has the state highway department talked to you yet about, the county shop deal? I mean, when are we gonna kind of get that shaken out, so we'll have to talk about it?
Yeah, I think that probably fell through the cracks, but
I mean, it did pass,
It did?
as far as I know, so
Which ones did they pull out of?
I believe all 8 of them,
All 8 of them?
I believe, so
None of them
Starquest,
stood- none of them stood up?
I don't believe so. I'm not saying that for certain, but I just thought of it last night, and I'm 99% positive it passed in its form.
I've never seen that bill.
So if it did, I'm just curious if and when that's gonna come across our desk, because something we'll have to kind of plan for if we're gonna even look at it, I guess.
I did go up and measure the door, the overhead door, and it's a little bit shorter than the one that we've got now, so I'm gonna do some more measuring. I actually measure the machine to see if it'll go in there.
Oh, on their shop, you mean?
Their shop is a little bit shorter than our shop. And I haven't been inside to see if there's any more headroom, like if there's 2 feet above the door or something like that. That'd be the only issue.
How big is the building roughly?
You might get 2 trucks in there. Then it's got a little bit of an office and a bathroom.
Yeah, and I'll do some double checking on it, but I just was thought about it last night when things were rolling through my head, so.
Yeah, it doesn't list.
Yeah, it says, they consolidated 8 smaller outdated section shops into larger service area in the DOT budget bill. So I believe all 8 were closed up. And then I don't know exactly how the bill reads, but it's gonna give us the option to essentially
Lease.
lease it, I guess, for $1 or something, basically just to keep the lights on. And at that point, I'm sure they'll probably send out some representatives or contact you about what we're gonna do about it. I don't know, it'll be interesting, see how they approach that, I guess. That's all I have.
That's all.
Lucas.
Well, everything's been going well. Lisa's chugging along as usual. The only thing that I have that's new is that Al McKay said that they are very close to potentially hiring an environmental health person. I know they've been looking for that for quite a while, so that'll be good to help district health run a little bit more smoothly. Other than that, everything's good.
Ed?
Social service, I guess we touched on that. Need a little more there. Law enforcement numbers would stand up pretty well, 85 or somewhere in there. I guess we should address the front page article on the journal on Friday. I don't know exactly where to start or where to go. I don't know, Jeff, you have the sheriff's office as your portfolio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you talk to him about it, or?
I haven't.
I guess we need to address that. I don't know exactly how to do it. We should look into it somehow as a commission, I guess.
You talking the Virgil Feather incident and whether or not is that standard operating procedure to drop them off at county line, regardless of?
I'm just going by what was said in the paper
Yeah.
and what I've been told.
An extremely unfortunate situation, but it's something that we probably should, whether the commission investigates it on our own or we have, Carrie look into it or, but, yeah.
And I don't believe very few people realize this, but Virgil Feather was living in Ramsey County. His house is physically in Ramsey County.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, we better address it, that's what I would say. How we wanna do it, guess we better make a plan. How do you think, Carrie? What's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, if that is a standard policy, it's not a good policy.
Change.
absolutely. I don't know if that is if it is a standard policy, I do not know. Came to light with the Virgil Feather story. I'd be curious to find out if it is a standard policy, if it's a standard policy that is statewide, if it's a rural standard policy, or what exactly goes on. And then I think the commission should address that type of a policy with the department head, absolutely. As for if anything else comes up, I don't know if the state's attorney would be the proper person to, I mean, I could sure look into it, come back to you guys, tell you what I found out, and then if there needs to be something else, I need to find out what type of authority I have to do more specific types of investigations. Those are my initial thoughts right now on it. I have no problem finding out what level I can go into issues either, so. I hadn't even heard of it until the Journal reporter asked the question. I hadn't heard of somebody, I mean, I saw something months ago about him missing, but that was the extent to my knowledge. And then the question came up last week if that, you know, if he was even in the facility. I didn't know if he was in the facility, obviously. You can look at the public website and see he was in the facility. Probably for fine payment on some city cases, what it looked like. And that's public record, I mean, anybody can see that. But if we have an inmate in a facility and they're scheduled to get out of the facility, should we be transporting them partway, halfway, at all? Should they be, you know, given the phone, obviously, to make arrangements for someone to pick them up? You have the reality of North Dakota weather. It's not like somebody takes off in 60-degree weather in January or in November.
Well, if I read
It's
the article
disconcerting.
right, it was his family there to pick him up, and
I don't believe I put that in the article. What I could confirm, I spoke to Connie, who I believe she runs the sheriff's department, before I talked to Steve yesterday morning. And I left the sheriff's department out of it until I talked to Steve. What I had heard was that his family attempted to pick him up. He wasn't ready for release. And then the family left. They had transportation issues. And then, he was dropped off in the county line, I think by Deputy Renazalo. I'm not going to put that in the story either, because I haven't confirmed that yet. What I talked to Steve about on record yesterday, I have a recording, I haven't done anything with it. Yeah, they drop him off the county line or the casino. Sometimes they ask to be dropped off a certain place. He said that we're not a taxi service, but we do help out. Now, I was at the city commission last night, and Chief Schroeder, he's suspended now, but he said that the Devils Lake Police Department doesn't do that. So that's not on the record, but that's what he said. So what I have on the record is what's in the story so far. I didn't put the bit about his family because I couldn't confirm it, but I did check the temperature at that time was between 36, 50 degrees, was above freezing. He was released at 4:33 p.m. So if the county line is 20 miles from his home, it's guaranteed to be after dark by the time he gets there. Unfortunately, he never made it. So the next step is to find out what happened to him, which good luck with that, right?
Right.
That's what I have.
Well, the other thing about, just by way of information, when somebody is being processed out of the jail, it does take a lengthy period of time, and I'm not sure why. I mean, it's not like they're released in court on Monday morning and then they're free to go 10 minutes later. There is a lengthy process to it. I'm not sure. I just think it's 30-some to 50 degrees or whatever at 4 o'clock on a November afternoon. It's going to fall fast temperature-wise. So I think I need to do some basic kind of information gathering before I even come up with a good thought of, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right, the policy.
yeah.
If it is a policy.
Yeah.
Well, rumors abound about what happened to him or didn't happen to him, but what we can iron out is what I'm interested in initially, you know, what the policy is, et cetera, which isn't my business, I just report on what I can confirm.
Have Gary come back with some information for us at the next meeting. That'll be acceptable to everybody.
Yep. I guess I had one other thing before you go, Mark. The chamber meeting met, I think a week ago or so, and Susie gave some nice information that tourism, it looks like their most recent dollar estimate is $39 million economic impact for tourism for coming into North Dakota, or Ramsey County, anyway. So very, very nice dollar amount, I guess. I'm not sure as far as, you know, expenditures or things like that, but, you know, when you look at $39 million economic impact, you know, our tourism and recreation do have an impact. If we could somehow marriage those between our agriculture and tourism, it'd be a nice match. But agritourism. There we go. So
I'll start a
yeah.
B&B. Nobody wants to stay at my house.
Okay. I pretty much have nothing today. Talk to Candy every couple of days, everything seems to be running good. Ed touched on the numbers being up and holding at the center, so other than that, I think it's pretty quiet.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you all.